Dear friends, Shalom. As we are on the 8th day in preparation for the feast of your heavenly patroness, we shall look at St.Anne as a mother who was faithful to her Jewish tradition and culture. As you all know, St.Anne as a mother of a Jewish family not only imbibed the spirit of her religion but also imparted it zealously with her daughter. St.Anne took care of her little home, lavishing much affection. We take this occasion to present the second encyclical letter of Pope Francis, Laudato Si, which is on the care for our common home. Laudato Si was written on 24th May 2015 on the solemnity of Pentecost in the third year of his pontificate. Subtitled On Care for Our Common Home, the document is comprised of 6 chapters. It focuses on care for the natural environment and all people, as well as broader questions of the relationship between God, humans, and the earth. The first words of Laudato Si are Italian and translate as "Praise be to you." They are a part of a quotation from St. Francis of Assisi's Canticle of the Creatures that opens the Encyclical. In the Canticle of Creatures, St. Francis praises God by meditating on the goodness of sun, wind, earth, water, and other natural forces. You know, when Pope Francis chose the name Francis in the conclave that elected him, people started murmuring, "Francis? Who? Francis Xavier? After all, he is a Jesuit." But the new Pope was quick to clarify, Francis the Poverello, Francis of Assisi. And true to form, this saint, who is called also the patron of ecology, becomes the inspiration of this encyclical. The title of Laudato Si is significant on 2 counts. First of all, it is a call to praise and thank God for creation, which is His gift to all humanity. And secondly, it is also a hard-hitting critique of us all for polluting and depleting the nature. And it is for the first time that an entire papal encyclical letter is devoted to the issue of environment and climate change. Thereby, Pope Francis has inserted ecology into the all-important theological process of salvation. The Pope reminds us of our common home, our sister and our Mother Earth. Sister Earth, who now cries out to all of us because of the harm inflicted on her due to our irresponsible use or abuse of the goods God has endowed her. We are on the brink of an unprecedented global challenges that place a question mark on the future of human civilization. We have stripped the earth of its natural forest, contaminated the earth's waters, its land and its air. Plants and species are becoming extinct at an alarming rate. We face sweltering temperatures, melting glaciers, and inundated shorelines in the decades and centuries to come, condemning future generations to a world in ruins. See, our digital world is also polluting us with noise and distractions, stopping us from learning how to live wisely, to think deeply, and to love generously. Real relationships are replaced with virtual friendships, which we can choose to accept or reject, making us dissatisfied with the true deep relationships, or can give rise to a new sense of isolation. Our actions today will determine the future, not only of present generations, but also the future of generations for millennia to come. The first chapter is entitled, "What is happening to our common home?" Now, we can consider this as the step of listening. Listening to or listening spiritually to scientific research, science, and spirituality. The Pope invites us to listen to the results of the best scientific research on environmental matters. Science at its best can help us to listen to the cry of the earth. And mind you, the Holy Father did his own listening as he pointed to the following things: pollution, waste, premature deaths, and deaths of children. The earth looks like a pile of filth, and he says the root of it is the throwaway culture. We throw away anything that we don't find useful, including human beings. Chapter 2 is titled "The Gospel of Creation," which draws on the Bible as the source of insight. The Genesis creation stories are interpreted as demanding responsible cultivation and protection of nature. Past attempts to justify the absolute human domination of other species are not a correct interpretation of the Bible, Article 67 says. The third chapter is titled "The Human Roots of the Ecological Crisis," where the Pope explores social trends and ideologies that have caused environmental problems, and he makes a critique. Chapter 4 is about integral ecology, that presents the Encyclical's main solution to the ongoing social and environmental problems. This integral ecology affirms that human beings are part of a broader world. We are meant to relate to each other and the natural world. Chapter 5 is regarding lines of approach and action, which applies the concept of integral ecology to political life. The Pope calls for international agreements to protect the environment and assist low-income countries and an economy ordered to the benefit of all. And finally, chapter 6 is about ecological education and spirituality. Thus, he concludes the encyclical with applications to personal life. In fact, the last part of the document does not really look like a traditional encyclical, but demands an eco-conversion in which we listen to the cry of the earth and to the cry of the poor. These include prayer and contemplation, avoiding the use of plastic and paper, reducing water waste, turn off the light if you don't need it, separating rubbish, and using public transport as a part of our calling to protect creation. Observance of the Sabbath day of rest, and even a step as simple as giving thanks at a meal's time. Article 227. He says it can be a reminder of integral ecology and an individual's relation to God, nature, and other people. What does Laudato Si say about climate change? Climate change is one of the most prominent topics associated with Laudato Si. Our increasing use of polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, oil, and gas, is helping to drive climate change, which is one of the biggest challenges we face today. Mind you, it is the poorest communities who suffer the most. We are now at a crisis point where the future of our common home is under threat, and despite this crisis, there unfortunately seems to be no slowdown in the lifestyles of the rich nations. Thus, the greatest contribution of Laudato Si is its systematic overview of the environmental crisis from a religious point of view. Until the arrival of this document, this environmental crisis was seen purely as a political, scientific, or economic issue. And with this new encyclical, the language of faith enters the discussion clearly, decisively, and systematically. Now, let me be very clear. The best way to understand Laudato Si fully and Pope Francis is by reading and studying this 184-page encyclical letter. To truly grasp Pope Francis' messages, we may need to read it more than once. Being a Jewish woman of the 1st century, St.Anne would have grown up like her own contemporaries, listening to the rabbis who commented on Jewish tradition. Centuries ago, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told a story about a group of people traveling together in a boat. When one of them took a drill and began to drill a hole beneath his seat, his companions were alarmed and asked, "Why are you doing this?" He replied, "What concern is it of yours? I am drilling only under my own seat." The man did not see, or did not want to see, how his actions affected everyone on the boat. So seeing the true impact of our actions is a critical first step. Seeing, later acting. And reading the verse in the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 7, verse 14, says, "See the works of God." The rabbis of the Jewish tradition imagined Yahweh showing the first human being around the Garden of Eden and saying, "Look at my works. how beautiful and praiseworthy they are. All that I have created, I created for your sake. Take care that you do not despoil and destroy my universe. For if you ruin it, there is no one to repair it after you. Friends, let us take care of the earth as St.Anne took care of her family. The biblical tradition testifies the care of the earth in the accounts of creation in Genesis with the expression to till it and to cultivate. Like her, we have a chance to take care of this earth in a motherly way. God bless.
With us, dearest parents, Saint Joachim and dear St.Anne, we thank you for your guidance in keeping with God's holy plan. We thank